Welcome back, everyone, to Zero Access Footy. We are here to redraft the 2022 AFL Draft. This was headlined by GWS taking Aaron Cadman at pick number 1, who has turned out to be a fantastic player in his own right, but there was an absolute stars in this one, and I'm happy to say that this one was topped by a North Melbourne player. Doesn't happen very often. North Melbourne aren't great when it comes to drafting, but for both of us, in our redraft, we've gone ahead and picked Harry Sheezel at number 1.
That we have.
So, I mean, for us, it was unanimous, but I'm trying to think who else here could have potentially taken Sheezel's spot. Will Ashcroft is the obvious next one.
Yeah, and we've both got him at 2 as well.
Yeah, but he looks like the only other one, unfortunately. He looks like the only other one that could have potentially taken Sheezel's place. I'm looking at a few other ones here, and like there's some good players, good role players here and there, but like in terms of all-around stars,
no one else is getting 54 disposals.
And that's in like many drafts.
Yes.
What draft was Tom Mitchell in? He's the only one who's ever done it
2012 draft?
There you go. The only one that can compete is 2012. So Harry Sheezel, 54 disposals is great. But how do you compare that to a Will Ashcroft, 2-time Norm Smith medalist? That is not something I don't think anyone would have expected with Will Ashcroft. Obviously, he is in his original spot. He was picked 2, and he's found himself at 2 again. Very easy, I reckon, to make the argument as to number 1, considering how good he is. But he's often been outshined by, I mean, the fantastic team around him, and it's not even his fault. It's just the fact that he doesn't really need to do as much as the others do. He absolutely can get his hands on the football and could easily get number 1 on the best of days. But considering Harry Sheezel's role has become basically the centre point of North Melbourne and the centrepiece of that team, Will Ashcroft, while he definitely could be on North as well if he was to be a North player, he absolutely is absolutely smashing it to start his career. 2-time Norm Smith is something I'm always going to be in absolute awe of, and I'm just excited to see what else his resume could look like, because Will Ashcroft is just a genuine and superstar.
Brisbane are so lucky. In back-to-back picks, they get 2 father sons.
Yep.
Jasper Fletcher.
He is both of our number 3 pick.
Yeah.
His role in Brisbane looks to be getting bigger and bigger. And that is tough to do on a side that already has so much going its way.
Yeah.
You are really high on Jasper. I want to let you talk a lot about Jasper. Go for it.
Jasper Fletcher, he's just a phenomenal player. I mean, realistically, he has the capabilities to go into the midfield and get even better. But what we've seen from him, starting as a wingman, then having to take that sort of defensive role from Starcevic and Ainsworth being injured, he's just flourished. And I think there is so much more for him to get better. I think Dane Zorko has come out and said he's the most talented player on their list.
Yeah.
He just has so much upside. It's crazy.
Do you see him getting in the midfield at any point in his career?
I think he could push that, absolutely.
I think once the older guard kind of passes through, you may see Fletcher get regular midfield minutes, which would be really exciting for Brisbane to get 2 of their future potential premiership midfielders in the 1 draft. But 4 is North Melbourne's next pick, where they originally had George Wardlaw. I've gone with Josh Weddle. I think he is a sneaky, impactful player. Off the halfback flank, he is genuinely one of the quickest blokes I've ever seen. If you've seen him absolutely burst through packs, it is exciting to watch him go. Sometimes a bit unpolished, but I think the upside is so high for Weddle. So high. It's just about whether he's going to really impact and break open games like the best of the best halfbacks are doing. Hence why Fletcher gets the nod over him. But Weddle is so exciting.
At 4, I've got Aaron Cadman.
Yeah.
I think he is one of the most untalked about players that has been shining at the moment for the Giants. He's in his, 3rd year, and he almost kicked 50 goals this year. I think the role he's had to take when Hogan has been out, especially for 2025 a lot, was really impactful. He's kicked goals in finals as well, which I think is really not talked about. He really didn't play a lot in his first year either. They really managed him throughout his first year and a bit. And I think in the back half of last year, he's taken a lot of growth as well this year. I think when you consider key position players, I think I'd slightly edge him because he's guaranteed to play where he is. And I think there is room for him to kick 50 to 55 goals this year.
On a regular basis, you reckon?
from 2026 onwards, I absolutely think so.
Yeah, I could see it taking over Jesse Hogan's role maybe a little bit. That could
Yeah.
happen. I'm very high on Cadman now, especially too, because like he's
yeah.
had some real moments like that he's just burst onto the scene with some fantastic results. I don't have him at 5. We've actually both got the same pick at 5.
Yeah.
Bailey Humphrey. He was very much the Dustin Martin that he was compared to by his own coach.
Yeah, that's why I have him there, because when you consider the prototypes of your Bontempelli, big-bodied midfielder, your Dustin Martin, big-bodied midfielder, Christian Petrarca, big-bodied midfielder, where do they play? Mid-forward. What's he trying to develop into? That mid-forward role. The ceiling for this guy, if he continues to work and improve his game, is so ridiculous.
And that was what I was going to
not even.
That was what I was going to add on top. He's looking more and more polished. More and more.
Absolutely.
He came in looking super raw, like a super raw prospect that you could see what they were aiming for with him, but he just couldn't quite finish it off. He's had more and more moments where like goal after goal after goal comes from his boot. And so he is so exciting just to watch in general.
The reason I have Cadman in front of him is because I think he's slightly proven more. Rather, it's just a lot of still potential with Humphrey. But the reason I have Humphrey over Weddle is I don't know what position Weddle will play in the future. I think there's potential he plays a half-back role, but I think with Hawthorn at the moment, they've got a lot of tools, so I think it's a bit too slow. I think there's a chance he plays on the wing and becomes a full-time wingman, similar to what Mark Blitzarves has done, but a bit more damaging. I think there's a chance he becomes a forward half player. If someone like Kal Shadir doesn't really take that step, he can play that role. But I also think, most importantly, if he becomes the best possible player, he becomes a full-time midfielder. And I think them not getting merit maybe shows him potentially playing there this year.
I think Weddle is so built for a midfield role.
But the reason I just haven't seen it yet, which is why I can't put him up there.
And that's completely fair. I have put Cadman, however, at 6. Pretty much for the same reasons you have. I just think it's more the other case. I think Humphrey has been able to show his progress and his polish more and more. Cadman is still, to me, while he can impact at the greatest level, especially compared to his first couple of seasons where he's winding up, he still is very inconsistent at times. And whether that's because he's passing his role on to other great forwards like Green and Hogan is something to look out for, but his talent is undeniable. Still a very good number 1 pick, I reckon, for GWS.
Yeah, for sure.
For 7, I ended up putting George Wardlaw. A little bit of bias. Injury prone. Does find himself getting injured fairly often. But George Wardlaw in himself is such a gutsy player. I think if you're a North fan and you know what the Shinboner spirit is, and you really are a believer in that, Wardlaw is that to a T. I don't think many North fans regret the Wardlaw pick. They just wish he could stay on the park more often because he is such an in and out bull.
That's the thing. Yeah, it's really hard to place him for me because of the fact of his injuries. We just haven't seen it consistently throughout arguably in an entire game.
Yeah.
Because part of it is management, part of it has been injured during games. So I've got Mateus Philippou at 7.
Which is really interesting to say right after
both
Wardlaw.
homer picks, but I think we've seen at least a 5-game stretch of him being a genuine full-time midfielder, and they've both been hit by injuries over the last couple of years. Wardlaw a lot more, but we saw 25 disposals and a goal every single week over a 5-week period that we haven't quite seen from Wardlaw, I don't think.
Yeah.
Which is why I've slightly edged him. I also think when you consider Philippou is that outside scoreboard impact midfielder compared to Wardlaw, who's more in and under absolute grunt, I think the game's going towards more of that Philippou type.
Yeah. We've both gone the same one here at 8. We've both gone with Max Michelini. The guy is very valuable for a club who really loves their tall one-on-one defenders at the moment. He's kind of just, I don't want to say a smaller Rory Laird or like a less impactful Rory Laird, because I think Rory at his peak was fantastic and the role he plays now isn't as impactful. And I think it's because the likes of Michelini can pick that stuff up. Really, really impressive stuff from him though. Really happy with how he's gone so far. Yeah,
he's developed into a really solid defensive player where you know what you're going to get from him. They've tried to play him a little elsewhere. I don't think that's where his future lies. I just think he is going to be a back half player.
Yeah, it's written in the cards for him, I think.
Yeah.
Number 9, I've gone Darcy Jones.
Go on, Georgie Wardlaw here.
Yeah, I really like what Darcy Jones has turned into. He is the epitome of the orange tsunami, and he's not just a small bloke who's quick. He is legitimately impactful on the scoreboard, and I was gutted to hear that he's done his ACL, I believe it was.
Yeah, it was. It's so unfortunate.
God, that's so annoying.
It's why I've got him at 10.
Yeah.
Like super elite small forward. Like he's just exactly what you ask for.
It really, it just actually annoys me thinking about it. But I've put Mateus at 10, which is his original spot. And could be a little disrespectful because, like you said, he had that stretch of time, but he has become like really injury prone, and he may even have, like, Darcy Jones may even fall to this in the next year. He may fall down some spots in hindsight because of the fact we're not going to see him for a while. And so maybe I need a refresher on Mateus.
I think if we were going to do this a year ago, you would have had Mateus higher based off of what we saw.
Very good chance.
And I think when you make that argument, George Wardlaw being 7 is a bit redundant.
Yeah, I guess so. But at the same time, I've seen him more and more consistent. He hasn't had a full season out before like Mateus has. And maybe it's also because Homer, I've seen him. I've stayed up to date with that type of stuff. So again, like I said, maybe I need a refresher on Mateus.
Well, we both have someone who has also had, once again, injury problems throughout his career.
Oh, God.
Elijah Hewitt, both at 11.
These like these 3 picks here could all be higher for both of us if we'd just seen more of them, which is really unfortunate because Elijah Hewitt was one that people had talked about getting midfield minutes in this West Coast side eventually. Like the upside I was hearing, there's so many players on West Coast where the upside that I'm hearing, both internally and from fan perspective, is like, geez, these guys could break open their roles in this team so quickly if they
100%.
stayed healthy.
Yeah.
Elijah Hewitt is just another example of that. I think in a recent one we did, Brady Hoff was another that we've talked about before that is along that West Coast line. But for pick 11, Elijah Hewitt, again, another player that we could see rise. Take Darcy Jones' spot for me, potentially. We may wait and see.
He, to be honest, he's exactly what West Coast need.
Yeah.
When you want to pair someone alongside Harley Reid, he is just really solid next to him. And I think he pairs really nicely. Whether he plays full-time midfield or not is the question. But he is a really good player. I have a back-to-back West Coast pick, though, because Ruben Jinby is my number 12. Started off as a midfielder, wasn't able to really solidify himself in that spot. Obviously, West Coast don't have a good midfield in the first place. But I think moving now to a sort of medium defensive role, I think has really suited him. And he almost had to play on the keys at times this year. Struggled, obviously.
Yeah.
But I think he could become like a Shannon Hearn type. Like he's got the size to do it.
Yep.
Which is what could have given him the edge as a midfielder. But he's now really developed quite nicely.
He's evened out quite well. I like him.
Yeah.
But for me, I put Ollie Hollins because I think he's defined his role within that Carlton squad. He is kind of a linking halfback now. He's become more and more of that type. And he was exciting to watch at times. He does have a few glaring holes.
He has a lot of blunders. Makes a lot of
blunders. He's not very tall as well, so he doesn't get that advantage that the likes of Bailey Dale have. But at the same time, he's done the best he can in a Carlton backline that's needed someone like him to at least heighten the really low floor that backline could have. And that's with Jacob Wiedering. They got the likes of Jacob Wiedering. Haynes started getting better.
Yeah.
I mean, it's still hard to find positives in that Carlton. But I think Ollie Hollins, it's okay. He's had an all right time.
That is the exact way to describe Ollie Hollins personally. He's just okay. Sorry, go on.
Yeah, because I was going to jump onto your Ruben Gimby point because Ruben is a fantastic player and he's another one that's had blunders, right? I think his upside could be a lot bigger than Ollie. But because Ruben has basically had to be chucked into different spots, I haven't been able to get a proper gauge on just what this guy's talent would be. And so I've put him behind Ollie. A little bit because of that, a little bit because overall West Coast backline has looked poor at times. Like the minute Jeremy McGovern was forced into retirement, you could see that team really struggle in the backline. And if it wasn't for Tom McCarthy, it'd almost be like that team had nothing settling them down in that back.
True.
But Ruben, I mean, the upside is very easy to see. You just hope he can polish it up sometime soon.
Yeah, definitely. I think I've got Cam McKenzie at 13, but I've got Hollins at 14. To me personally, I'm not a fan of his. I don't think he's a good kick. I don't think he's much. That's an
interesting point because I've seen Ollie Hollins be put on kick-out duty before,
he's
very
shit.
regularly.
He is really shit at kicking, which I've a lot of Carlton fans don't rate him as a kick, and that's fair enough.
Yeah.
I've got Mackenzie at 13, slightly above him, because I think there's a home for him in a midfield. I just don't know where Hollands fits in at a lot of clubs.
Yeah.
I think Mackenzie hasn't had the opportunity that Hollands has had, but arguably has shown more already.
You could argue it, yeah, definitely. I think because Ollie seems to have found a role at Carlton, despite it not being fantastic. I think Ollie can maybe get a bit of credit for that, but yeah, people will pull me up on that stuff. So maybe something that becomes a bit angsty in the comments. We'll find out. 15. You have gone. Oh, I'll go with mine. I won't say yours. I've gone with Jacob Constantine. He's found a role at North, which is good for him. I think it's like that winger half-back role he's kind of finding himself onto. He's trying to be more of a rough and tough type of player, or is it half-forward?
Constantine's a small forward.
Yeah, but he's been put on the wing before. Maybe that's just a North thing.
Absolutely, that's just a North thing. Yeah,
North putting him on the wing. I've seen him on the wing a couple of times before, but Constantine, considering he was kind of a throw-in with the Luke Parker stuff, he's been pretty nice. He gets himself on the scoreboard a lot more than than I expected it to see from him. Has played consistent games for North as well. It's getting better for him. I'm looking at the others on this list, and I'm not seeing anyone else who's getting as consistent at games. Maybe Gruszewski?
No.
Was it Gruszewski?
There is one clear that is getting more game time. Also was steak knives thrown in, but somehow wasn't because he got a 4-year deal, and that was Joe Richards. But my 15 is Jed Busslinger. I will forever stay on the argument that had he have not been at the Western Bulldogs and not been under the tutelage of Luke Beveridge, he would be a much better player than he is.
Yeah.
If it was simply the fact that he wasn't coached by Luke Beveridge, he would be able to play a full season.
Poor bugger.
Still has huge upside, in my opinion. Still can play that intercept role, has the height to be able to do it. Similar to Brennan Cox, but he just needs his Alex Pearce. Rory Lobb is not that Alex Pearce.
Yeah. I put Max Gruszewski in here at 16.
I've got Joe Richards at 16.
Yeah, Joe Richards. I don't... Maybe because my ball knowledge is off here. Not got enough ball knowledge. I don't know enough about Joe Richards to put him above someone like Gruszewski.
Sad.
I know. Because I know he's a Collingwood
Joe
Collingwood
Richards
player.
played like over 20 games for Port Adelaide.
So, it's Port Adelaide as well.
He signed a 4-year deal at Port Adelaide.
God.
Mate. Get your head in the game.
I know my Joe Richards ball knowledge. I just know that he's gotten a few games in. I've heard the name before.
Jeez, your Richard ball knowledge is really bad.
Exactly right. So stupid. But I've got Max in there because I've seen him have some pretty nice games for GWS. I've known of the bloke. This is kind of in the territory where I'm like trying to think of upsides for some players. So honestly, just tune me out from 16 onwards. But I'll put Max here.
Pause. Why would it pause of all time?
Oh, God. Oh, no. This is not good. This is a bad end to the episode. I really hope people stop watching from this point on.
Can we please not cut that out? Anyway, my 16 was Joe Richards. My 17 was Harvey Gallagher.
Yeah.
Sort of found a little bit of a role for himself as a small forward wingman at the Bulldogs. Not great upside, but has cemented himself in that spot. Clearly,
He's done a bit.
Clearly one of Bevo's favourites.
Yep, and I put him at 17 as well. 18, I put Jed Bussinger.
I put Max Gruszewski.
Yeah, so Jed for me in the sense that, he's found himself not getting as consistent as he would have liked. But again, that may not be his problem.
No, Jesse Hogan's in that role pretty much. My 19 is Jacob Constanti. He's not better than anyone else in front of him, honestly. And he isn't a pure small forward in a sense. Like, it was steak knives. You can't expect much more. Yeah. So there's not going to be an expectation for him to be top 15. But he was picked 20 and he only improves by 1.
Yeah. I mean, he's done pretty all right considering where he was put.
Yeah.
I put Joe Richards, again, ball knowledge poor, and Ed Allen is my 20 because ball knowledge poor.
Same. He falls one spot because Collingwood suck balls. I mean, he just hasn't found himself in a role. I think this year, 2026, could be, and I think that'd be really important for his development. But we just haven't seen it before from him.
Honestly, keep a lookout for him because of the fact that Collingwood's midfield, outside of the obvious ones, are getting on that older side. So they may fight some. You may see the likes of Dacos and those ones on the out. Josh Dacos, I'm talking about specifically, start to push towards the midfield, and Ed Allen maybe takes a role there. I don't know. Yeah. We'll wait and see. But yeah, poor ball knowledge from me. I'll dropped the ball in this episode towards the back end. But nonetheless, still some really impressive talent in the top half of this draft. So
Absolutely.
that is the 2022 AFL redraft by the Zaf boys. Look at us go. But thank you guys
I might
very,
leave.
very much.
Please never call us the Zaf boys
We are
ever
the Zaf
again.
boys, but I
Please.
appreciate you guys
No.
tuning into this episode.
No.
If you enjoyed it, leave a like, comment, subscribe. Everything is always greatly appreciated, and I will see you all in the next one. Cheers.